Picture this. London, December 31st, 2006. The city is alive. Fireworks crackle above the Thames. Champagne glasses clink. Crowds count down the final seconds of the year. But in a quiet government office, far away from the noise, something far more historic happens. A banker presses a button. $83 million vanishes from a British account and lands in the vaults of the United States Treasury. No headlines, no celebration, no parade, just one final payment. With that transfer, Britain quietly finished paying for a war that ended 6 decades earlier. World War II. Let that sink in. The nation that stood defiant against Hitler, that endured the Blitz, that emerged on the winning side of history, was still paying interest in the 21st century. So what really happened? Was this the famous special relationship between allies? Or was it the most sophisticated financial trap in modern history? Tonight, we uncover how Britain won the war, but lost the world. Welcome back to the channel. Before the bombs fell, before the debts piled up, Britain ruled the planet. In the 1930s, the British Empire was the largest empire humanity had ever built. 1/4 of Earth's landmass, nearly 500 million people, ports, railways, resources, armies, and trade routes spanning every ocean. The phrase wasn't poetic exaggeration. The sun truly never set on British territory. London was the financial heart of the world. The pound sterling wasn't just currency, it was power. At its peak, £1 bought nearly $5. Britain looked untouchable. But behind the polished uniforms and imperial confidence, the foundations were already cracking. The Great Depression hit Britain hard. In 1931, the unthinkable happened. Britain abandoned the gold standard. That single decision was a warning flare. The empire's finances were no longer ironclad. By the late 1930s, Britain was overstretched, militarily, economically, politically. Then came 1939. Hitler invaded Poland. Europe ignited. At first, Britain wasn't alone. But in 1940, France collapsed. And suddenly, Britain stood by itself, an island nation facing the most powerful war machine ever assembled. They needed everything: planes, tanks, fuel, food, steel, ammunition, and only one country on Earth could supply it: the United States. The problem? America wasn't at war. Public opinion demanded neutrality. So Washington made a deal. Cash and carry. You can buy our weapons, America said, but you pay up front, in gold or in dollars, and you transport it yourself. No credit, no loans, no mercy. So Britain began liquidating its empire. Gold bars were loaded onto ships and sent across the Atlantic, sailing through U-boat-infested waters. British-owned companies in America were sold off at bargain prices. Entire investments vanished overnight. It was economic triage. By late 1940, Britain was running on fumes. And Winston Churchill knew it. In December 1940, Churchill wrote a private letter to Franklin D. Roosevelt. It wasn't heroic. It wasn't defiant. It was honest. Britain, he admitted, was broke. Their dollar reserves were gone. Their gold was nearly exhausted. Without American help, Britain faced a terrifying possibility: negotiate with Hitler or collapse entirely. For the first time in centuries, the empire was begging. Roosevelt listened. But before helping, America demanded proof. Washington insisted Britain expose its finances completely. Every account, every reserve, every hidden asset. Britain complied. The verdict? Bankrupt. To make sure, the U.S. pushed Britain to sell even more overseas assets, just to prove there was nothing left. Only then did Roosevelt unveil his solution. In March 1941, Congress passed the Lend-Lease Act. America would supply Britain with weapons, food, fuel, and equipment, without immediate payment. Roosevelt famously compared it to lending a neighbor a garden hose when their house is on fire. But garden hoses don't come with contracts like this. Over the war, Britain received $31.4 billion in aid. Over $400 billion in today's money. Tanks, aircraft, ships, trucks, spam. Yes, spam. Lend-Lease saved Britain. Without it, historians agree Britain might not have survived 1941. But the price wasn't listed on the label. In exchange, Britain paid in other ways. First, bases. The US received 99-year leases on British military bases. From Newfoundland to the Caribbean, American power quietly spread across the Atlantic. Then came something far more valuable: technology. In a secret exchange known as the Tizard Mission, Britain handed over its most advanced research: radar systems, jet engine designs, anti-submarine technology, even early nuclear research. It was the technological crown jewel of the empire, handed over, free. America didn't just become the arsenal of democracy. It became the world's technological superpower. 1945. Victory in Europe. Celebrations flood the streets. But behind the scenes, reality hits. In August 1945, President Truman abruptly ended Lend-Lease. No warning, no transition. Britain was cut off overnight. Its economy was shattered. More than half of industrial production had been dedicated to war. Imports were unaffordable. Exports had collapsed. And the empire, once Britain's lifeline, was unraveling. India demanded independence. Colonial administration became too expensive to maintain. Britain needed money. Again, in 1946, Britain negotiated a massive loan. $3.75 billion from the United States. $1.19 billion from Canada. Interest, 2%. Term, 50 years. But the real danger lay in the conditions. Britain was forced to make the pound sterling convertible to dollars. When that happened in 1947, disaster struck. Countries rushed to exchange pounds for dollars. Britain's reserves evaporated in weeks. Convertibility was suspended. Austerity followed. Rationing continued into the 1950s. Then, in 1949, the final blow. The pound was devalued by 30%. From global king to second-tier currency. With finances crippled, Britain couldn't afford empire. India gained independence in 1947. Then came Egypt, Ghana, Malaysia. One by one, the colonies slipped away. Britain remained influential, but the empire was gone. And the debt? It lingered. For decades, generation after generation paid interest on a war their grandparents fought. Until that quiet night in 2006. One last wire transfer. One final receipt. Did America deliberately bankrupt Britain? Not exactly. Lend-Lease helped defeat fascism. It saved millions of lives. But it also reshaped the global order. Britain won the war. America won the century. The empire fell not from defeat, but from debt. The special relationship survived. But it came with a very expensive price tag. So what do you think? Was this fair strategy or ruthless power politics? Did Britain sacrifice its empire to save the world? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If the story surprised you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more hidden history they never taught you in school. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive into the past.